Time for an unboxing video. This in here is a cassette CD. Unfortunately though, the seller, he's had a good effort at wrapping this up, but some bits didn't really hold, did they? Maybe someone had a little look inside, see if it was anything worth taking. Decided against it. Anyhow, the main thing is it's not too damaged. Let's get this out of this box. A lot of random bits of cardboard in the packaging. Just show you. Anyway, hopefully not in too bad a condition. It's even got, looks like a price on it from a long time ago. It says on here, East Midlands Sound and Lighting in Grantham. So this is what we have. It's a Teac AD-400 compact disc player. Looks like a reasonably nice one. 18-bit, 8 times oversampling. And on the other side, an HX Pro headroom extension auto reverse cassette deck with all the bells and whistles by the looks of it. It's a Dolby B NRX HX Pro. Doesn't look to be Dolby C, so maybe it's a little bit early. But it is an HX Pro. And it's got a very slow eject still. I'm not expecting too much from this. The seller said that it has been in dry storage for the last 4 years. It was working before it went into dry storage. It was sold as not working though, so for spares or repair. And as the seller mentioned, probably does need a service of some description. Also in the advert, in the eBay listing, it mentioned that this was a product manufactured in the UK. So I'm not too sure if that's true. It's 15 watts, 230 volts, and not too much to say on the back. Looks to be CD line out, and there is a line in for additional recording. I guess you can record from CD on this, and there's obviously output to an amplifier. Maybe it was part of a bigger system because it's got remote control in tape and CD, so that does show that it was probably one of a bigger system. Power is on at the wall, so let's try. It did start making a little bit of noise and then it stopped. Doesn't seem to be responding on this side to play, but that could be the function that it's in. Let's just put it into tape. Okay, you can hear the motor running in the background there. And it just had to turn the auto reverse over there. Yes, it's trying to do reverse. Let's change direction. Yeah, it's because it's not sensing any kind of pull on the tape, so it's gone back into that reverse. But That's a good sign actually, initially. It's quite a lot of pull on there, so to me, bounce might not be an issue on this. Now, I've got quite a few bits and bobs. This might serve actually a good purpose to have my hi-fi set up, just to minimise some of my components I've got. But we don't know, do we? Does it work? Well, the CD tray's opening. The tape says reverse there. I'm going to put it back to CD. There's a CD dub part on this switch here, so I would imagine you can set your CD going, you can program it, and then on this side you can do your recording. It'd be interesting if that actually works. Let me just see if that tape counter was going around. I didn't notice that before. It probably won't go backwards, so will it? That doesn't seem to be doing anything at the present time. Oh, there we go. It is working. So that's one less bout then. Dolby. Yeah, best to have that off, I find. Tape selector. It's a nice additional headphones there, but no separate volume for the headphones. There's a record level there, so that needs to obviously be set. I guess it's a little bit on the cheaper end of things, but it does look quite good, doesn't it? Maybe some of these lights, are they as bright? I'm at a funny angle here, so I can't tell. Oh yeah, they look okay. Alright, time to get a CD and a cassette. Let's try the CD side first. I'm not obviously going to hear anything unless I plug some headphones in, which I probably will do if it does read, and it does seem to read. Let's play. And we can change the display. So there's no remote for this. This would have been part of a bigger system, and a remote control would have worked on it, because as you remember from looking at the back of it, there's an option for just a little cable between components in the hi-fi, so that would have worked. It will now be purely manual from the actual device rather than a remote control, because I don't have any other Teac components to connect this to. So the main thing is these buttons work, and the seeking is pretty fast. Now what's interesting, that's not doing much, is it, at all? Should that be flashing? Or will that only work really when you're doing your recording or playing a cassette? That's an interesting one. There's a memory feature. And repeat for the CD as well. So what's there to say? It looks very basic. The memory doesn't seem to be... Oh, there we go. So memory is the program mode. Let's turn that off for a minute. Play. Did you hear it when it stopped? It just made a bit of a noise. You listen again? Well, that's not too bad. Maybe depends where the laser is on the disc. Let's move it along a little bit. Oh, that is quiet at that time. Okay, that's looking reasonable, isn't it? That's now put a tape in. And to be on the safe side, I'm going to just wind this back. Oh, and it's fast. It's certainly rewinding that quickly. Tape counter's moving. So all in all, it's looking like a positive buy at the moment. We don't know if it's going to chew up tape, so. If the auto reverse works. I did have an issue on one of my other videos where I had a similar setup to this, where an auto reverse was a bit sticky, but this one doesn't look too bad. This metering looks like it's purely for tape, which kind of makes sense. I guess that's just the circuit that's going to allow the recording level to be set when making tapes, for example, from CD. So maybe that does make sense that that is only doing its thing now because the tape's running. It's that kind of circuit, that side of the machine. Alright, I've got my headphones plugged in now, so I'm just going to press play. Well, that is acceptable. That sounds pretty good to me, pretty clear. It's quite a loud headphone level actually. Probably breaks some laws now in the EU. Well, we're not in the EU anymore, are we? But you know what I mean. The headphone limiters on Walkmans and things. So this is set quite high, which is nice. You know, nice to be able to hear it. But that does seem to be playing. It does seem to be playing at the right speed. I don't think it's playing particularly slow. Probably just needs a little bit of use. Now just scanning along, before we go back into the CD side, there is a remote sensor there. Now I didn't see that before. Blame it on my glasses, I think. But anyway, remote sensor, so potentially I can look at one of my multi remotes. I've got some programmable ones, and I may be able to program something up basically to try working this. So that'd be one thing for me to check. Let's try the CD now. Very loud. Gosh, talk about blasting your eardrums. Now that is loud, and it does sound to be okay. One thing I noticed, there seemed to be a hum when I press play, so I'm just going to press play again. Yeah, there's an interesting hum before it even starts playing. Just to show, now I've got it connected to the hi-fi system and the regular amp, just to show you the hum that it makes when I press play on the CD side. So this is only on the CD side that it does this. That's the hum, and that doesn't affect the tape. If I press play, there's no hum on that side, purely on the CD side only. And the other thing, which I should have picked up during the making of the video, is this is missing the feet. So this unfortunately needs new feet. As you can see, I've just got it balanced there on the Sony mini disc deck, but that obviously needs sorting out, maybe with some stick-on feet, or maybe I can source some regular feet from somewhere. Reasonably good so far. It's always nice not to be sold a complete lemon from the outset. That's nice and slow still. So there's 5 screws to take out. Just one on the back holding the lid in place. That's a different colour anyway. Alright. It's a little bit like the Denon actually to look at inside. Wow. Let's take the camera down a bit. Looking clean enough. It's an interesting angle there on that. Oh, okay, so that's just switches onto the board. And this is spring tension in there. But from what exactly? Why is it at that angle? I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Just a design choice to have it like that. This looks well made actually. So from a cheaper kind of look on the front, a little bit cheap, but still looks nice. A classic, I would say, 90s, maybe 80s look. Late 80s, isn't it? Yes, because it hasn't got Dolby C. So I would imagine this must be late 80s. But it's nicely put together, I would say. I like the fact all the components are nicely spaced out. All the old school resistors in here. And obviously all these capacitors were put on way before the dodgy capacitor time of the 2000s, the kind of, was it early 2000s, mid 2000s, when a lot of those were no good and they ended up leaking after a short period of time. So yeah, that looks really good actually. So it's mentioning here record play amp PCB. So that's exactly what that's doing. Got the amplifier section for the headphones as well as for the output audio. Looks like there's a Sony Dolby chip in there. And that is probably, is that related to the CD side? So the CD amp PCB is kind of over there. Another Sony chip. Yeah, because these ones in here look like digital to analog chips, which would make sense for the CD side. Sorry, there we go. These two here, which is probably to do with the oversampling as well. So that's TC4068P, 4068BP. Then on this side, nice, straightforward design. A little bit laden with capacitors on this side. for some reason. Not quite sure. Oh, it says it's a digital analog PCB in there. Lots of ribbon connectors, quite hefty things these. Probably add a little bit, well, marginal weight to this one, I would guess. But it's nice to see reusable components, and I probably need to do a bit of swatting up now and some research, because I didn't do any research at the time to see what people thought of this, you know, if they thought it was any good or not. It's obviously lasted wow, isn't it? Obviously doesn't get too hot in there. I guess, yeah, so the transformer side is kind of hidden underneath this, so I won't go touching that. I've got it turned off at the wall now, but yeah, so there's a transformer bolted to the bottom, to the actual chassis. The CD side here, with plenty of space around it. And then I guess I need to just have a little look at the belts. The CD tray seems fine, doesn't it? So that's good. And then there's going to be, yeah, 3 belts in here, I think. So there's one for the, yeah, that's not too bad. It's enough to drive a little counter. Didn't want to try changing that one though, because it looks like you'd have to pull this out. The mechanism looks reasonable. I mean, it's probably a little bit on the cheap side, but that's quite nice to see. Proper flywheel, sort of metal cast thing here. And the belts don't seem too bad, and they don't look, yeah, too bad to change. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if you can see, there's a brush in here, but where the belt is, the rubber of the belt is going past what almost looks like a little brush. It's just kind of keeping it in line there. I mean, in most cases you'd never have anything like that, but that's quite nice. That's almost taking off any impurities over time, isn't it? Or any dust, I suppose. Just keeping that belt sort of clean. Less wear and flatter. But the way the case is designed, it doesn't seem to have let any dust in particularly. That's a nice little feature actually. So you can see the tape counterbout, and then there's a couple of belts. At least a couple actually. There might be more than 2 in there. It's hard to say. It's either 2 or 3 belts. There's another kind of thing going on past that. I think that's just one belt there. Yeah. Yeah, so I think there's 3 belts in here in this setup. Well, I'd be interested if anyone's got this exact model, or one I guess quite similar to this, if they can let me know how they find it, if they've had to do any servicing as such on theirs, or are they quite happy with it. Seems to be quite a quality item really. So for this task of recording, I've got a TDK Chrome cassette that's recently opened. So let's try this one. So we'll switch it back on at the wall, but not touch it. I will wind, and maybe if I go pause and then record, I can try setting things. So it looks like HX Pro is enabled there by default. So I only want it to, go from start to finish, but not turn the tape over. So I'm going to leave Dolby off. I better select Chrome on the tape selector. Let's just play to start. It won't play because it probably wants to just do a straight dub. But what about the recording level? Let's just switch it over on here to tape. Now it's on tape. Play. No. Well, I'm gonna just do that. It's on CD dub again. I'm not gonna do that. I wonder if I can set this up. I haven't taken the CD out, have I? Oh, what a dafty. Oh gosh. You can tell it's lunchtime. Alright. We want to be able to set this level, so it will need to go into pause mode. Let's pause this. Now this will let me play, for sure. Oh, okay, it wants to go. Yeah, so you can set the level. So the idea is you only go into this at peak times. It doesn't have the Dolby mark here, so normally you might just keep it to 0. What I'm going to do, I'm going to let it go into here, but without going into +6. I think that would just be too loud. So that's how I'm going to calibrate it, and I'm only going to probably try recording one track anyway, as a test. So let's just see. Let's speed it up a bit and get into it. So I don't want it to go into +6. I'm going to keep it kind of below there. Okay. And what I have to do is I have to pull the headphones out so I don't get any dodgy copyright. Let's let this. Actually, let's just set this up. So we want to go pause. Keep it on pause. Okay, so that's track 4. Let's let that. Oh, it probably won't do it now until I start pressing play. But then I'm not on the, I'm still on the leader of the tape, which is not very good. That's a bit of a design issue. So that means you've got to cue your tapes up first. Okay, I'm going to stop it now. It's already done track 4. So let's just stop this. And that stops the tape as well. That's nice. And let's listen to the quality of the recording. That's a very decent recording. Right, I'm just gonna equate myself with the CD version. This is too loud to listen to. Right, back on to the cassette. Okay, so my verdict is there's no distortion at that level. It does sound clear. It sounds like it's in both sides. What I think this whole cassette deck needs, it does need a bit of a service. It will need the bouts changing at some point. Maybe not immediately, but they probably are at a stage where if they were changed, it may make a little bit of an improvement. The other thing that is bothering me a little bit is when you first press play, there's almost like a bit of a humming sound, and then it goes quiet, and then you get the lead up to the CD starting and then the music. I don't think there's an issue between tracks. I will try it. Yeah, so there's definitely something when the circuit goes live, there's like a hum. It goes and then it goes quiet, and then it's fine. Now, anyone watching this, please can you let me know your experience of this deck and whether or not you've noticed a similar issue on yours. The other thing as well is your phono level like really loud, because this one seems to be set up very loud. And on the CD side, like I said, starting it sort of starts with a hum and then the hum disappears. So whether or not it would benefit from a bit of a recap, it'd be interesting to find out. So yeah, so please can you like and subscribe to my channel. Any comments on this particular model? That's the Teac AD-400 compact disc player recorder, well, reverse cassette deck with the HX Pro, which does sound, this does sound pretty good actually. I'm pleased with the cassette side on this.